Hey, it's Jazz, and this is Wildlife Matters, and these are superworms. Now, contrary to popular belief, these guys are not superhero worms. Superworms, despite their names, aren't actually worms. In fact, they're actually beetles, but just in larvae form. Being in larvae form is a common term used for bugs or insects, which means that they are still not yet in the stage of adulthood. Now, the superworm's life cycle goes through 4 stages. First, it was an egg, and then it turned into larva, or larvae, which they are right now, and then after that it's gonna turn into a pupa before it reaches the final and adult stage wherein it turns into the darkling beetle. Basically, in simpler terms, these are beetle children. Now, many people are now breeding superworms in superworm farms because they are actually used as a food source for many animals like chicken, amphibians, reptiles, fish, shrimp, because these guys are actually a very good source of protein. Even humans eat superworms because they're actually turned into a delicacy, and I myself have tried superworms and I must admit they're pretty good. They taste like roasted peanuts and I love that, especially when they're spicy. Another interesting fact about them is superworm poop, called frass, actually makes a great fertilizer. So they don't just give nutrients to animals, but even to plants as well. So these guys are kind of in demand, especially when you're farming or keeping exotic pets. In the wild or nature, however, you will find these guys under rocks or under rotting wood. But what do superworms eat? Well, superworms will eat anything that you give them. But one of the most significant things that superworms eat is plastic. Yep. That's right. Scientists have discovered that superworms not only eat many types of plastics, but even the ones with toxic additives in them. And even when they eat those toxic plastics, it doesn't cause them any negative effects. They eat plastics like polyethylene, which is one of the most widely used plastics in the world. And you can find it in shampoo bottles, detergent bottles, plastic bags. We use polyethylene every day, and these guys actually eat them. So remember how I mentioned that superworms are used as a food source for many types of animals? Well, another good thing about them is even if they eat plastic that has toxic additives, these superworms that have eaten toxic plastic are still safe to be consumed by other animals as well, and they won't pass it down to the animals that eat them. But superworms aren't the only insects that can eat plastic. Insects like mealworms, which look like similar smaller versions of superworms, are known to also eat plastics as well. But superworms, which are much larger, do a little more better than mealworms at that, and that's why we're focusing on them for this video. Now, these guys are able to eat plastic because they have a bacteria in their gut that helps them to digest it. But are these guys the solution to our plastic crisis? According to scientists, not quite yet. Because reducing our plastic usage and finding out how to segregate our waste is still has much more of an impact than superworms eating plastic. Why? Because, just imagine how many superworms it would take for you to actually address the plastic problem in the world. But who knows, maybe this research will come in handy and give us a scientific breakthrough when it comes to eliminating plastic in the future. But nevertheless, I thought it was just really cool to talk about creatures like superworms because they're very much interesting. Nature never ceases to amaze. Every piece of wildlife matters. By the way, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like our Facebook page, and follow me on Instagram at jazzwildlife.